Okay, so go ahead and start up Scratch and open Side Scroll. For those watching the video, I've included a copy of the beginning file in case you need it. Okay, so last week we worked on the reset button. So if I hit my flag, start over, when we fall off, oh, gotta use right keys. We go all the way down and the reset button is there. Was the reset button showing before? Let me hit my flag again. That should be hidden at the very beginning. So let's look at that first. So if I go to my reset, when flag clicked, it's supposed to hide. Oh, too far is still yes. Let's see, when I click the flag. So if I look here in a second. Okay, so clicking the flag should hide reset. There we go. Reset button's hidden. Move off, I fall. And resets there. Now when I click reset, if I can get to it, it hides it and he bounces up really quick and then he drops back down again. So we got some things we got to work on reset yet. Okay, so one thing I notice is when I hit reset, gravity keeps on going. So we need to reset our gravity when we do that too. So let's go grab set and let's set gravity equal to, if we look under here, we normally set gravity to 5, so we're going to reset gravity to 5. Okay, so when I click the flag, we drop. When I move, we drop down. When I click reset, if I click it, he goes back up and he drops again. Reset, back up and drop. So what are we missing?
The floor.
The floor. We got to move this floor panel back to where it belongs. So let's go to our ground. So click on the ground. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. Not that big. There we go. So if we look at the ground, when we start, we set our position here under our flag. So we want to add a event when you receive. So we want the ground to listen for that reset as well. So when I receive reset for the ground, then what I'm going to do is I could copy that. It's a lot hanging on to it. So instead, I'm just going to go to my variables. I'm going to set my position X to match this 25. I'm going to.
Okay, I'm loaded.
Yep, that's what I have. If you have something different down here under your flag for your variable name, choose that.
I'm loaded.
Okay. I'm going to set, I'll help you out here in a second. I'm going to set my position Y to -105. And then I'm going to do my motion. I'm going to go to that position. So to my go to X and Y, I'm going to go to grab my variables, position X and position Y. And there we go. Now it should move when we reset. If I restart and move off, I fall down. Now if I hit reset,
For me,
now it works.
my dinosaur goes.
We've got it working with one platform. Let's add another platform now. So it's finally time to add a second platform. So the easiest way for me to do it will be to duplicate ground 1. So I'm going to go down to my sprite. Did I start? Yep. Go down to my sprite, right click, and duplicate ground 1. It'll label it ground 2 for me. So I'm going to move it over. So if I click on ground 2, I've got the same things here that I have on my ground 1. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to move my ground where I want to put it. So let's see, how high can I jump? Yay, I can jump about that high. So I'm going to drop it here. Let's just make it a little bit higher and off to the side like that.
Mine's not here.
Yours isn't. So the first thing we want to change on ground 2, once we have it where we want it to in relationship to the other one, is we want to look at this x and this y here. My x is 218, my y is negative 71. Yours might be slightly different. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set everywhere where I set that. So I'm going to go up to under when I receive reset. I'm going to set this to my x position will match mine, which is 218. My y position will match it where it's negative 71. So that I match here with what's here. You also see when flag clicked, same thing. I want my 218 and my negative 71. Negative 71. So we're probably going to have a problem. I think I know what the problem is already, but let's try it. Let's reset. Now let's try moving to the right. Both of them move. What do I use to jump again? Space. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to move to the right. Whoops. I double jumped. Oh, I missed. It went right through. Why is that?
Mine keeps overlapping the other one. I got it.
So he's falling through because we're never saying when we're over this one, right? So,
Are we gonna have to move all this manually?
okay, so if we go back to our dinosaur, and let's go ahead and stop so it's not running anything. If we look down here, see our fall equals no, or fall equals too far. We were setting those when, or fall equals no and that equals no, then we work, where do we set them to? Okay, too far is yes, no, that's different. We want fall and not fall. Let's look at our ground 1. I don't think we set when I see right, when I see left. Okay, so here we go. So go to ground 1, and here's our broadcast over, broadcast fall. It'll do that here when it goes. Now this may cause a conflict. We're building this kind of backwards, so we're not thinking about long-term good. But so you see when our position is less than negative 70, when our position is or greater than negative 70, less than 110. So let's go to our ground 2. We'll have the same thing because we copied it, but these numbers need to be different when we're over this one. So if I reset and before we knew it was negative 70, so I'm going to stop.
What do we change on ground 1? Just the numbers, or did we not change anything?
We didn't change anything on ground 1. We're going to ground 2 here. Oh, sorry, I didn't pause. Okay, so what we're going to do is we want to figure out when we're over this one. So if I move to the right, he's going to fall. Or no, I stopped it, so he won't fall. So we'll say, it looks like he should still be falling at, looks like our x is 108 here, right? If I go to 109, let's go a little further. Let's say until his belly gets there. Let's do that. Okay, so when x is greater than 93, so I want to change this one to 93. Say, when it's greater than 93, I'm going to say over. And then I'm going to keep going. Oops. I'm going to not hit the wrong things. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to keep going to the right until I think he should fall. So we're not going to worry about his tail right about there. So if position X is less than our negative 57, that seems backwards. Yeah, we got these backwards. So this will be 93. This one will be negative 57. So that if he's between negative 57 and 93 on the X, he'll be over this one. Let's go ahead and try that once just to see how that works. So, and I can double jump so I can go, ah, let's see if I can land on it. Come on. Oh, I started hitting the wrong button. Well, let's see how our reset. Our reset one button won't work. Watch. Oh, yeah, it will work. Okay, we changed it. Okay. So let's go.
Mine still goes over.
Let's see here. There we go. Get it. And right through. He still falls through it. Okay. I think the reason he's falling through, and this is where we kind of conflict. We got two different sprites. Now what's happening with our ground one here, pay attention to this. You don't have to code anything. Our ground one says when he's on either side of this, I say fall. So what happens then is our ground two says when he's here over this, say over. But this one's still saying fall. And so they're conflicting with each other. So there's a few different ways we can do this. Let's see what we do with our broadcast fall. So here we broadcast the fall. Let's see if we go back to our dinosaur. Let's see what we're doing when we broadcast fall. Okay, when up arrow, when space. Here, I got to make it a little smaller so I can see everything. There they are. They're down there. They're hiding. Okay, so they're setting the fall variable to yes or no. So when I've got this one is fine. When I get to here, it's going to get confused. In fact, that may be why here, if I hit my flag, there is a chance that he will fall through here depending on which one's broadcasting fall or no at the same time. So if I reset enough times, I might get there. Okay. So what we have is we have a conflict between two different things trying to do the same thing. So what we got to do is we got to think through our logic a little bit in this one. So right now the ground tells us when it's over and when it's not, but the ground doesn't communicate with each other very well. So what I want to do is I want to do something different when I say fall equals yes or fall equals no or over equals no. I'm going to key off of that, and everywhere else I'm going to say yes. So what I basically want to do is I want to get rid of fall. Fall equals yes. So right here we say fall equals no and too far equals no, then Y position. Okay, so then we land in our weird position. The reason why it worked here is he landed in his weird position. So there's a number of things we have to take care of here. And it's going to take a little bit of rethinking. Let me pull this up here. I'm going to pull up a whiteboard on the computer so that the people at home can see what we're talking about. So this is a good exercise on how to deal with a problem. You got to kind of break it down. So let's go. I think I clicked there. There we go. Let's make it bigger. So we get a whiteboard. Whoa. Look at that, we got a whiteboard. Okay, so here, let's move it a little bit there. There we go. Yes, you may. So, okay. So what we want to do is we want to have our dinosaur. So let's grab this. Let's do our little dinosaur. Oh, too big. Oh, that's because I'm too zoomed in. Oh, well. There's our dinosaur. Blah. Okay, there. So there's points when he's going to be over ground 1 and ground 2. So what I'm going to do here, let's see if I can make that even thinner. There, 0.25, there we go. So what I want to do is when I'm over one of these, it's going to broadcast over. So, whoa, I use my pen tool is much better. This is really ugly, I'm sorry. Okay, when I'm not over, it won't broadcast over. So over is going to be equal to yes on these. Over is going to be equal to no when I'm not here. So basically, I only want these to broadcast over. I don't want them to broadcast not over or to fall. I don't want them to say fall. I just want to say over. So then I can tell when they're over. So I'm going to key off that over as to when I fall or when I'm there. So let's go back to our code. I lost it. There it is. Okay, so right now, if we go back to our code, if you go to your if statement, it says if this, then broadcast over. If not broadcast fall, I'm going to grab that fall and I'm just going to pull it out right now. So it's only going to say over. Then I'm going to do the same thing for ground 2. Go over to ground 2, grab that fall, pull it down. So now it will never broadcast fall. So that's going to give us a little something. So if I refresh and I move now and I jump, and I'll do a little double jump, make sure I can get there. Oh. Okay, so it stops, right? It received the over. Now, where did it stop? This is a whole different problem. But it stopped right there. If I move off, actually it may not fall because I took out the fall. So the fall is going to be different. We're going to key the fall off of something else. But right now it stops when I hit the other one. So that makes sense? Okay, so it stops right there because if we go to our dinosaur, we check if touching ground 1, then we switch costumes, else we settle on that area. So we got an if touching ground 1. Otherwise it does all the gravity stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all the falling stuff, everything in the else here, and I'm going to put that in its own broadcast. So I'm going to here, I'm going to get a little smaller for everyone. Oops, that's not smaller. Everyone at home or here can't see, but I'm going to grab my set, everything inside that else right here, everything that was in here. I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to get it out of the way here. Let's move some stuff around so I got room to. Yep, go ahead and do that too. So you got that all by itself. And what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to go to my control or events. I think events said broadcast. Yep. And I'm going to broadcast. What should we call this? I'm going to do a new broadcast, new message. It's not falling. It's when he's not touching ground. Should we just call it above? So what you're going to do here, I'm going to cancel. So you're going to grab your broadcast. Mine says broadcast fall. I'm going to do the little pull down arrow. Under events, yes. In the else where all this stuff was, I'm going to broadcast and I'm going to call my new broadcast a new message called above. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it above. Yep, inside the else statement. So now it says broadcast above. Then I'm going to go when I receive fall, and I'm going to change that to above. Now really all this did is it took everything in that else and just said do a broadcast and then do it. So it just took it outside. This is called, it can be called a couple different things. It can be called a subroutine. It can be called an object. There are different things that different languages call this. But basically this allows me to do that whenever I want. So. Right, so we pulled it out of there so that we can deal with it, because we're going to deal with this in more than one place. Okay, so it's going to broadcast above. It will never receive its fall right now, so we'll deal with that later. So it's always going to do this. So now in here, we've got if fall equals no and too far equals no. So if that equals that, we're going to set our position. Now here's where we have a problem. This is where it makes it land on this platform right here. So this Y position here, let me zoom in a little bit there. This Y position equals negative 55. Remember we did that so he wouldn't fall through. So when I hit stop, refresh. Oh, There's something not going on. I broke something. Okay, that's right. When he falls, we did this, if position is less than -5, set it to -5, and then it would glide to that position. That's what happened when he fell down. What am I missing here? Maybe pulling that out might have caused some other problems. If touching ground, okay. If he's not touching the ground, he's above. So it broadcasts above. Here's what's going on here. Okay, that's right. It sets the position. Okay, if fall equals no and too far equals no. Well, too far is where too far down. Fall is where over. So we're saying he's falling. So he's above, and we're changing. Something's not right here. I'm not sure. I might have to look at this. I might have to rethink this over Christmas break and figure out a better way to do this. What I might do over Christmas break is kind of revamp this, give you a more streamlined, and then when we come back, I'll explain the changes I made so that we don't have to make all the changes by hand, and we'll go from there. Speaking of Christmas break, I said I'd give you some homework for Christmas break. Now, we're kind of in the middle of a project right now, so there isn't a specific set I want you to do, but your homework is kind of open-ended for Christmas break. I would like to see you basically just make something with Scratch. It can be an interactive tale where you choose your way through the tale. It can be a game, probably not a maze game again like we did, but you could do a movement type game in there if you want. Using what we have already and looking at the files we have, you can do that. You could do something like you can make a piano. Make something where if you click on the certain things, certain notes will play, and you can do a piano or things like that. No, doesn't have to. This is up to your skill level. So do what you feel comfortable. Don't do something that takes you 5 minutes, say, I'm done, and then go. So I'll be able to tell. But try to do something a little fun. So different people have different levels of capabilities. But yeah, I just want you to flex your Scratch skills a little bit over Christmas break and make me something. So don't spend hours upon hours on it unless you really want to. If that's something like, oh, I want to do this, I want to make this big complex thing, go for it. If you have problems with it, you can always email me. Or what's the first thing you should do if you don't know how to do something? Look it up. Google it. Always start with Scratch and then how do I blah, blah, blah. Another way you can do is you can go and you can find some code on mit.scratch.edu and the Scratch site, and you can look at their code and you say, hey, that gives me an idea. I'm going to steal their code, but I'm going to modify it and do something different with it. That's perfectly fine. You can use someone else's code to make something. Don't just copy their code and say, I'm done, but say, hey, I like that game, but I'd like to do something slightly different with it, or I just want to change. It could be as simple as, Jeremy, you could copy one and say, I want to change all the sprites. Make different sprites, different backgrounds, things like that. That would be fine for your skill level, whatever works for you. So does that make some sense? So again, if you have any questions, don't feel afraid to email me and I'll answer you. And yeah, go for there. So again, don't make it like, oh, I got to spend all Christmas break coding Scratch. So don't make it hard. And unless I said, some people like that. They'll be like, ooh, I want to spend hours doing this and get this super perfect thing. So it's really up to you. But I'm not looking, this is a did it or didn't do it type of grade. If you do it, you get something. I say, hey, you got 100%. That's an easy A. If you blow it off or do something that takes you, 3 minutes of copying or whatever, and yeah, then we'll probably adjust your grade downward. But so it should be an easy A. So any questions on that? No? Okay. I'm going to stop the video and you can play a little bit for the little last part here if you want.